welcome to another episode of Real Talks, where we ask real questions about real estate. I got JP here, who is a lender, who's gonna answer a question that I have. Just curious, because sometimes I even get confused with all of this, so I'm just looking for a better understanding. When it comes down to getting a loan, people are gonna say they're lenders, they're gonna say they're mortgage brokers, they're gonna say they are direct lenders. Like, what does this all mean? Does it make a difference? Like, whether I go through a mortgage broker or a direct lender, or if I go through like a Bank of America, Wells Fargo, a Chase, like, what does it matter?
There's a lot of different types of lenders out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Are there more lenders than what I just mentioned? You got your hard money lender.
You got hard money loan. You got what you call net branches. So your net branches are going to be your Finance of Americas, your whatever it is, your cross-country mortgages. You've got online, where you can go directly to Quicken Loan, right? You have your big banks, and then you have your credit unions, so you can go to like Chase, or if you're in San Diego, your San Diego Credit Union, right? And then you can go to your broker. So, and then there's even something called correspondences, right? So there's all these different types of lenders. I guess the biggest thing is we can kind of start moving them around, right? So a net branch is basically a direct lender. It's a direct lender for a certain lender. So for example, if you own a Century 21, like we're Century 21. So with a net branch, like they're a direct lender for a certain lender, which would be, let's say, Cross Country Mortgage or Finance of America, or I can make a whole list, and they offer just their products, right? Okay. And then and they're a direct lender, right? So that's a direct lender. And then you've got, like, for example, Bank of America. They're a direct lender too, but they only offer their products, right? Whatever Bank of America has is what Bank of America has, right? And there's correspondents, right? They're like brokers that may have one specific lender that they push most of their loans towards, right? So I could be a correspondent for example, Quicken Loan, right? And then you can go online to Quicken Loan. So whatever loan products Quicken Loan has is whatever products they have. And then you can go to a broker. So a broker they could be pre-approved with multiple wholesale lenders, and they can shop the loan around. Not saying that direct lender or correspondent or mortgage broker or anything is better than either one, right? I think the best way to answer the question is they're all gonna have their strengths and their weaknesses, right? They're all gonna be good at certain things, and just because you're a lender at Bank of America or you're a lender across country, maybe one cross country branch is different from the other branch like one Bank of America branch might be different from another Bank of America branch. So really,
why would that be though?
Because it's the LOs, it's a loan officer, right? So just because you work at Century 21 doesn't mean that every single agent there is great. I mean, Century 21 is a great company. I'm not gonna say anything. I think they're one of the best, 100%, right? But I'm saying it really comes down to the LO. Does he know what he's doing, and does the loan products, is that particular lender fit your needs, right? So you've got to really make sure you trust the person. I think that's the most important thing, right? Even as a listing agent, like, we could all be great listing agents on this table, but that seller needs to make sure they trust that particular listing agent, right? So, number one is trusting that loan officer and making sure that loan officer knows what he's talking about, right? So you gotta ask the right questions, make sure he can answer the right questions. That's most. If he can't answer the question, at least if he's honest with you, that says, hey, you know what? I'm not sure. Let me double check with you. Let me do some research. I'll get back to you and I'll get the answer to you, right? And the other thing too is, it doesn't hurt to shop around. I get shopped around all the time. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Yeah. Just, I want to make sure the client gets the best deal for their needs. So I'll be straightforward with them. If a client comes to me and says, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm trying to do, and I'll tell them, look, hey, you know what? I don't think we're the best company for you. Go to such and such, right? So I'm pretty straightforward. So the first thing is kind of seeing, do you trust the loan officer? Does he know what he's doing? And if you want, last thing is shop around. As
people are looking for their lenders, what would be 3 to 5 good questions to ask that lender so they know? Because a lot of people that are out there, they're going through this their first time, so they don't really know the questions. For me, I always say, hey, go interview a couple agents before you make your decision, and from there figure out which one you think is the best. But for a lender, like if they are going to get qualified, like what should be those questions that they ask the loan officer?
I would probably start with a couple things. Before I even meet the loan officer, go on their Yelp, check them out, check out the reviews, pull up their license number, make sure their license number is clean, they haven't done anything that they shouldn't have done. And then when you finally get to that loan officer, talk to the loan officer, ask them what their process is gonna look like and what their turn times like. Hey, so tell me what, I would say, hey, Kevin, so tell me your process. How does this work, right? I want it, and if the loan officer takes their time to educate you, right? Number one, provide value. Hey, Kevin, you know what? This is how the process is gonna work, right? So after, they're gonna go over their process, and then also ask them like what their turn times are. Just you'll get a feel for it. Just ask those two basic questions. You wanna make sure that when they're giving you that process, that they're adding some type of value. They're teaching you something. You're going out of that meeting with, hey, shoot, I just learned something about a loan program that I never knew about. Right?
Got it. What should be like that turnaround time?
Some lenders might say I can get a pre-approval in three hours, for example, right? Some lenders might be able to get it in 3 days, but they should have some type of turn time. If they don't have anything, it just shows professionalism. You see what I'm trying to say? That you have to have some type of standard. So if they can't answer these basic questions, then you got to question the professionalism of that person they're going to be working with.
Got it. One last question that I have in regards to like loans, because loans do cost money. I mean, I feel like loans all across the board have like a certain set fees. But then why does the certain, loan officers charge points? What do those points do?
Okay, so that's a really good question, right? Now, so depending on what type of lender you are, correspondent or broker, whatever, points can mean different things, but usually like on the base level, points really come into play when you're trying to buy down the rate.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So, okay, that's a good question. You ask them what par pricing is. So
par pricing.
So par
pricing.
Par pricing, that's a good question.
Okay.
So if you want to trip up your lender, ask them what par pricing is. So they're gonna say, okay, par pricing basically means that, let's say 3% is the interest rate they're willing to give you. Okay. That means that is the interest rate where the lender is not making it. There's not making any money, right? So let's say a lender makes, depending on the type of lender, I'll speak as a broker, there's a rebate that we get, right? So let's say we go to 2.75 now, right, as an interest rate. Then that is, let's say that costs $800. That means me, the broker, would have to charge money up, or charge
to get that rate.
To get that rate.
Okay.
So that
whether the consumer pays for it,
the consumer will be paying for it. The consumer will be paying for it at that time. So par pricing is, okay, what is par basically? Is what is the lowest rate you can give me before it starts being a cost to me, right?
Got it.
So that's probably the best question, the best way I can put it.
Cool.
Does that make sense? I'm not sure.
We hope so. But if it doesn't, guess what? You can always leave comments below. Thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you at the next one.